I'll be going over absolutely everything you need to know to hit the ground running as a Windwalker monk in MoP Classic. Now, this is obviously a new class, so we're going to be going really in depth to make sure you know absolutely everything in this guide today. Number one, what race should you be going with? Well, funnily enough, it's going to be Pandaran. The reason being is they get a buff where they actually get double of the well-fed effects from food. It's called Epicurean. As you can see here, your love for food allows you to receive double the stats from well-fed effects, meaning if you've got plus 300 strength, agility, or intellect, depending on what role you are, then you're actually going to get plus 600 of that stat instead from well-fed, which is massive. We also have Bouncy, where you take half the fall damage. And Quaking Palm on 2 minutes strikes a target of lightning speed, incapacitating them for 4 seconds. But mainly, the reason I want you to go for Pandaran is because of Epicurean. And let's be honest, if you're going to play a monk, it's MoP Classic, you're probably going to go for Pandaran anyway. Because it is a new class as well, and race, you want to level up quite quickly, and get to hit the ground running. Well, with Inner Peace, you earn twice as much rested experience as well as your racial, so they're really, really good for leveling. Let's now move on to the talents. So it's completely changed in MoP Classic. You now have only a few rows of talents, and you can change each talent per row, and you can change them whenever you want. Not many of them really impact our DPS much. So on the first line, we have Celerity, Tiger's Lust, or Momentum. Celerity is going to increase the number of charges of your roll and Chi Torpedo, which is basically a spell where we can roll and get from A to B much quicker. So this is roll a short distance, max 3 charges. As you can see, you can kind of roll straight out of danger, etc. If you want. And that's going to increase the maximum charges and reduce their cooldown. Chi Torpedo is actually this one down here. You'll hear me talk about it a lot. I'm actually not advising you to take it, but it basically replaces your roll where it then does damage to enemies and heals allies in your path. The other option is Tiger's Lust on a 30-second cooldown. Instantly clears the target of all movement impairing effects and increases their speed by 70%. This is probably the one I personally would go with because I like the movement speed increase rather than the on-demand rolls. Because we still have roll, just we don't have, we have one less charge and a tiny bit of a longer cooldown on it. Tiger's Lust is a whole new ability where we can get increased movement speed, etc. So we're really gaining a lot more by choosing this. And then Momentum will passively cause each roll to increase your movement speed, and that can stack twice. The second row is all about healing. Chi Wave is basically a chain heal that will bounce to nearby targets, regardless of whether they are friendly or hostile. Each target that the wave bounces to is healed or damaged if they are enemies, depending on their alignment. The healing portion of it is a smart heal, and what I mean by that is that it prefers healing low health players, and it does have an 15-second cooldown, and it will cost you 2 Chi, I believe. Now, Chi is these here. We have up to 4 Chi. Similar to a rogue, if you've ever played one of those, we have energy, and then we have chi. So we have some abilities that generate chi and spend chi, and we also spend energy to generate chi. Zen Sphere, this will actually summon a spear above the head of a friendly target, which could be yourself, and that basically every few seconds, for 16 seconds, will heal them and deal damage to nearby enemies. It's got no cooldown, and again will cost some chi, but you can only have one sphere active at a time. Lastly, we have Chi Burst, which is a lot more targetable, allowing healing of targets stacked in a location. It hurls damage or healing towards a location or target and basically does healing or damage to everyone in its path. So which one should you take? Well, Chi Wave is suited for healing targets that are somewhat spread out. Zen Sphere is basically more controlled single target healing and damage. And then Chi Burst is easily more targetable, allowing you to do it to people stacked in one location. On the next line, we're basically going to go for Power Strikes or Chi Brew. I like to go for Chi Brew, instantly restoring 2 Chi and generating 2 stacks of Tiger Eye Brew. And Tiger Eye Brew is this cooldown here that I'm going to talk about shortly. Power Strikes, every 20 seconds you gain Power Strikes, causing one of your next attacks to generate an additional Chi. If you're already at maximum Chi, a Chi Sphere will be summoned near you, which you can walk through and then get, a Chi back. Ascension could be good if you're ever in danger of capping your chi, but with the rotation I'm going to be showing you, that's not really going to be a problem. I personally would go with Chi Brew. The next one is all about incapacitating and stopping your enemies. I like to go for Ring of Peace, which I'll show you. It's really cool. Basically, it stops anyone going near it. So as you can see here, enemies won't be able to enter this Ring of Peace that is around me. It instantly silences all enemies and disarms them. Enemies within the Ring of Peace who attack or cast harmful spells will be disarmed for an additional 4 seconds or silenced for an additional 3, and it lasts for 8 seconds. You can go for Charging Ox Wave, where it rushes forward and stuns everything in its path, or Leg Sweep, where you stun and knock down enemies all around you. I personally like to go for Ring of Peace. On the next line, Diffuse Magic will probably be the best. Reduces all spell damage taken by 90% and clears you of magical effects, reversing them back onto their original caster if possible. We also have Dampen Harm. You dampen the damage from the most harmful attacks done to you. The next 3 attacks within 45 seconds that deal damage equal to 20% or more of your health are reduced by half, so it reduces damage. I personally think Diffused Magic is the best. Healing Elixirs, every 18 seconds you gain it, which heal you for some of your health, basically. And then lastly, on Tier 6, which is the last one at level 90, we're going to go for Invoke Zhuen, the White Tiger. This is the best DPS increase out of the 3 talents. You invoke Zhuen, the White Celestial Tiger, summoning an effigy at the command of the caster. He'll assist you, attacking your primary target and inflicting lightning onto them and nearby enemies, and it will last for 45 seconds. It will also taunt the target, forcing it to attack them, so do be aware of that. Sometimes Rushing Jade Wind will be better, which is a big AoE attack, where you summon a tornado around you, dealing damage to all nearby enemies. If there is loads of enemies, you could go for Rushing Jade Wind, but generally, Zhuen the White Tiger is going to be the better option. Moving on to Glyphs, we have a few good options. Number 1, Glyph of Spinning Crane Kick. You move at full speed while channeling that ability. That is this ability here, where we're only going to be using it in our AoE rotation, but before you would have been slowed down a bit, whereas now we're not slowed down when using Spinning Crane Kick. Touch of Death. Your Touch of Death no longer has a chi cost, but the cooldown is increased by 2 minutes. So this is interesting, right? It no longer has a chi cost, meaning we can use it easier. You exploit the enemy's target, killing them. Only usable on non-player targets who have equal or less health than you. Generally, the boss that you're going to be fighting will have an insanely higher amount of health than you, meaning you won't often be able to actually use Touch of Death. Hence why, when we can finally use it, removing that chi cost is going to be really, really important. Yes, it has the cooldown now of increased by 2 minutes to 3.5 minutes, but because we're not going to be using it much anyway, getting rid of that chi cost is going to be really beneficial for us. Now, the last one is kind of up to you. We could go for something like Glyph of Fists of Fury, which is an attack we're going to be using, where your parry chance is guaranteed when using it, so you're kind of not attackable. Glyph of Fortifying Brew, it reduces damage taken by more, but increases your health by 10% rather than 20%. So if you want more damage reduction rather than extra health from this cooldown here, then we could go with that. There's also Nimble Brew. Clearing an effect of this heals you for 10% of your maximum health. This is one that removes all root, stun and fear, etc. And then we can add a little bit of healing into it with this glyph. So basically the third glyph is kind of up to you, really. And those are some of the good options. On the minor glyphs, I would go with Glyph of Flying Serpent Kick, where it now automatically ends when you fly into an enemy, triggering the area of effect and snare. So that is this one here. Otherwise, we'd still be flying and we'd have to cancel the effect, whereas with this glyph, it just ends automatically, making life easier. Glyph of Back Out Kick, which is this one here, what we'll be using in the rotation, will always deal more damage over 4 seconds, regardless of positioning. Basically, it would usually heal you for a little bit, but it would do more damage if you're behind the target. This gets rid of the complete positioning cost, meaning you can actually get the increased damage from wherever you're standing, and that will therefore increase our DPS. And lastly, Glyph of Water Roll, where you can roll over water, which is just a very small quality of life. For Mr. Pandaria Classic, I'm teaming up with Zygor to give you 20% off with code Javier. Zygor gives you the fastest and most efficient leveling experience. As you can see here, looking at killing snow leopards, I can even click all the different waypoint coordinates to see the fastest way to get to the different areas they may be in. It can also look at flight paths and show me which ways to go, including all of the different travel options. And when choosing quest rewards, it can even tell me which is the best upgrade for me. And this will be even spec dependent. I can click on the gloves, complete the quest, And then it will even tell me to equip them and shows me how much attributes and stats I will gain by equipping these items. Maybe even talents. I can use the talent advisor with Zygor, simply clicking that I want to be an Affliction Warlock, and it's going to configure it automatically to show me the best leveling build for Affliction for me. The fun doesn't stop there, though, because it's available for SOD, Classic, Retail, Leveling. I can choose zones I want to go into, and it'll tell me how to get there and do all of the leveling in that zone, even if you're going back to old zones that you've leveled out of. Dungeons, dailies, events, reputation, gold making, professions, pets and mounts, and achievements. You can use as little or as much as you like. And don't forget, you can get 20% off with code Javier and battle past everyone at lightning speed in Mr. Pandaria Classic. Now we move on to the rotation. This here is the single target rotation I'll be showing you. We've got some other bits and bobs here, and then we have our cooldowns, both offensive and defensive. And then this 2-button bit, yes, is the AoE rotation. So like I explained briefly earlier, we have chi and we have energy. So number one, we want to spend energy to build chi. So how are we going to do that? Well, your number one priority, because this is a priority lift from top priority to bottom priority. The number one priority is actually going to be called Expel Harm. Now, this is actually going to be a heal for yourself, but it's the top priority. Instantly heals yourself and causes half of that amount healed to instantly be dealt to a nearby enemy as nature damage and generate 2 chi. So you want to use this when you're not at full health. You must be missing at least twice the amount of health that Jab, this next one, does as damage for it to really be worth using. So Jab does, let's say, 8,000 damage. So you want to be missing at least 16,000 health, which isn't too bad. Now, it's on a 15-second cooldown. It costs 40 energy to use. It does generate 2 chi. And this is your number one chi builder. So only use this when you have 2 or fewer chi. Why is that? Because we only have 4 chi maximum, and we don't want to overcap or waste chi. Now, if we're not missing health, etc., then we can just use Jab. It costs 40 energy and also generates 2 chi. And as it says, you clobber the target with your staff, dealing damage and generating chi. So that is your main chi builder. And this is your top priority. You want to be generating chi if you have less than, 2 or less chi, so that we can then spend it. The next thing to do is spending chi with Rising Sun Kick, and we're going to use this on cooldown. As you can see, it puts a debuff on the target. Damage taken from abilities dealt by the monk is increased by 20%. Hence why we want to use Rising Sun Kick on cooldown. You kick, dealing damage and applying mortal wounds to the target, and it also causes all targets within 8 yards to take increased damage from you. Mortal wounds grievously wounds the target, reducing the effectiveness of any healing received for 10 seconds. So it does 2 debuffs to the target. Hence why we're using it on cooldown to maintain those debuffs at 100% uptime. Then we want to use Tiger Power, which is the buff we get from Tiger Palm, and we want to use this at 100% uptime. So you'll notice that when I use Tiger Palm, I get here, Tiger Power, your attacks ignore 30% armor. So again, we're doing more damage to the target whenever we use Tiger Palm. So you want to use this at the start of the fight to get the debuff up, and also just to keep that buff up at all times, meaning that we can ignore that armor. After that, we're going to use Fists of Fury on cooldown as well, where we pummel the target in front of us, dealing damage, and it's spread evenly over all targets in front of us. That, again, is going to cost 3 chi. Now, we also have Blackout Kick, and I want to talk about something really interesting here, and that is our Mastery stat. Oops. So, oh my goodness. Oh no, I'm having a UI issue. So basically, what our Mastery does, it's called Combo Breaker. It gives us a chance every time we use Jab to proc cost-free Tiger Palm or Blackout Kick, as you can see here. So we have Combo Breaker, Blackout Kick. Your next Blackout Kick costs no chi. Sorry, not Tiger Palm. It is just Blackout Kick in this version of MoP. So we're only going to be using Blackout Kick whenever we see that free one come through, and again that is a chance when using your Jab, and that is from your Mastery Combo Breaker. So when using Jab, we have a chance to get a free Blackout Kick. Use that whenever you get it, and it costs you, well, it would usually cost you 2 chi. So we're going to use that whenever we get that proc, but also we're going to use it basically if you just have loads of chi and have nothing else to use it on. So we're going to be using our jab and then using our rising sun kick to spend it, using our tiger palm, and then we need to generate more chi, and then we're going to be spending it again. And then, you know, at this point, you can see here, I don't really need to use tiger palm because I've got the buff up and my rising sun kick's on cooldown. So I'm just going to dump the rest of my chi on blackout kick. So we're only really using it for those ones. Oh, and there we go, combo breaker tiger palm. Sorry, it's separate. So you can get tiger palm free as well. Sometimes it will proc from your mastery, as you can see there. So I thought it was together, but it's not. It's actually a separate one. So sometimes your tiger palm. See, I knew what I was talking about. Sometimes your tiger palm will proc a free one. Sometimes your blackout kick will proc a free one. So use those procs whenever you do get them. If you really have no energy or chi, we have got Flying Serpent Kick, where we can use this on a 25-second cooldown because it doesn't really cost anything to use, but that's about it. So again, use Expel Harm if you're missing health, generate chi. Otherwise, use Jab, use Rising Sun Kick on cooldown, use Tiger Palm to keep the buff up on yourself. And then apart from that, to spend our chi, we're going to be using Fists of Fury, and we're also going to be using Blackout Kick. And whenever you get a free one from your jabs, from your mastery on Tiger Palm or Blackout Kick, we're obviously going to use this as well. And if you really can't use anything else, then it's Flying Serpent Kick. Moving on to the AoE, if you're against 2 or 3 enemies, just continue the normal rotation, because certain spells here will hit multiple targets. However, if you're against 4 or more enemies, try and use Rising Sun Kick to get the debuff on them. If they're stacked together, it will hit all of them. And then we're just going to spam Spinning Crane Kick as much as we can. And that is pretty much it for the AoE rotation. I want to go over some quick buffs quickly. We have Legacy of the White Tiger and Legacy of the Emperor. We can use them both. What you'll see here is this puts on your party in raid 5% critical strike chance and strength, agility and intellect by 5% as well. Going on to offensive cooldowns, we have Chi Brew on a 45-second recharge, instantly restores 2 chi and generates 2 stacks of Tiger Eye Brew, which is this one here. Touch of Death we've spoken about earlier. We've got Invoke Zwen the White Tiger. Now, we don't really have much burst in our rotation, so you can just use these on cooldown generally. Zwen is going to summon this beautiful tiger and obviously damage our enemies. And then we have Tiger Eye Brew. This basically you will be passively getting stacks of. It increases damage and healing done per stack while active. And you consume up to 10 brew stacks when you use it. So there we go, I've now consumed up to 10 stacks. For each 4 chi you consume through the use of abilities and attacks, you gain a charge of this. You can then use it to consume the charges, granting you increased damage, etc. So I would use these cooldowns together. Tiger Eye Brew can now stack up to 20 times, but you can only consume up to 10 stacks at a time for 60% increased damage. Lastly, Energizing Brew will regenerate 60 energy over 6 seconds, but can only be used while in combat. So this is just going to regenerate some energy for us. Going on to defensives, we've got Touch of Karma. All damage you take is redirected to the enemy as nature damage over 6 seconds, so it's basically a mirror. Diffuse Magic, we've spoken about, reduces all magic damage taken. We have Nimble Brew, clears you of all roots and stun effects, etc. And Fortifying Brew will increase your health by 20% and reduce damage taken by 20%, and those are your defensives. Moving on to everything else in our arsenal. There's a few that we're not going to be using. Spinning Fire Blossom, Storm Earth and Fire, Tiger's Lust on a 20-second cooldown, 30 seconds, sorry, will remove all immobilizing movement effects. We've talked about Sven Sphere from the talents, and now we've got some passives in the Windwalker tree. So when you are disarmed, your chance to dodge is increased. When you kill an enemy while gaining experience or honor, you have a chance to summon a healing sphere. Enemies who die from Blackout Kick have a chance to also summon a Chi Sphere. I can't really show you it here because I'm on the target dummies, but basically it's a little sphere that you can walk through and gain like 1 Chi, for example. And it actually explains it here. So a sphere of energy forms, walking through it will restore 1 Chi, same with healing. You're healed for 15% of your total health when you walk through it. We also have Brewing Tiger's Eye Brew, which is the passive you get from Tiger Eye Brew. Your Blackout Kick deals an additional 20% damage if you're behind the target, but don't forget, we aren't going to have to worry about that because of the glyph we're using. Combo Breaker, you've got a 12% chance when you jab to cause your next Tiger Palm or Blackout to cost no chi. Oh, there we go, I can look at it there, have no UI errors. And then we have our Mastery. When you generate Tiger Eye Brew charges, you have a chance of generating an additional charge. We also have something called Tiger Strikes. You can see that up here, Tiger Strikes. You have an 8% chance to gain Tiger Strikes when you auto-attack, increasing your attack speed by 50% and causing your next 4 auto-attacks to gain an extra attack. That's all happening passively, of course. We also have a few utilities. Detox eliminates ailments in the body, removing harmful poison and disease effects. Disable, which slows down your enemy. Expel harm, we've spoken about. Paralysis, you cause the target's muscles to contract, incapacitating them for 40 seconds. Provoke is, you basically you rush towards the target. Reawaken is to resurrect all dead party and raid members. I'm going through all of these because obviously it's a new class, so I wanted to go through it a little bit more in depth than I do my other guides. We have Spear Hand Strike, which is your interrupt. It's on a 15-second cooldown, and you interrupt them and stop them from casting anything in that school for 4 seconds. If they're facing you, they're also silenced for 2 seconds as well. And it's a really good interrupt, actually, which you should be using mostly in dungeons, but sometimes in raids as well, to interrupt your enemy spellcasting whenever possible. Stance of the Fierce Tiger. This is the stance that you'll always be in. You can see it down here in my stance bar. We only really have one. Increase your movement speed and damage done by 10% and increases the amount of chi generated by your jab and expel harm by 1, which makes it 2. And you're always going to be in this stance anyway. We also have some cool things called Transcendence, where you split your body and spirit, leaving your body behind. So I use Transcendence, and then you can see my spirit is left there. And I use Transcendence Transfer to basically swap positions with that. And you can do that once. So it's really good if you're going to be somewhere in a fight and you know that you're going to have to return there really quickly in, a little bit of time, for example. And it will last for 15 minutes, so it can be really useful in certain boss fights, etc. Oh, we also have Zen Meditation. I forgot to mention this one. Reduces all damage taken by 90% and redirects to you up to 5 harmful spells cast against your party and raid members. Being the victim of a melee attack will break your meditation, however, so it can be useful in certain situations. We also have Zen Pilgrimage on a 30-second cooldown, 30 minutes, sorry. Your spirit travels to the Peak of Serenity in Pandaria, leaving your body behind. And again, you use Zen Pilgrimage to return to where you were. And there we go. So that is the main rotation you will be doing as a Windwalker monk in MoP Classic. Moving on to the stat priorities, of course, not hovering over mastery. Number 1, you want to hit your hit cap. So, as you can see here, I've got 6.55% hit chance, and I've got a 0.95% chance of missing. The hit cap is 7.5%. You also want to hit 7.5% expertise. Hit chance is your chance of missing the boss. Expertise is the chance that the boss can actually dodge or parry your attacks. And yes, you do need to hit 7.5% on both of these. The second stat that's most important is, of course, agility, which you'll get with a higher and higher eye level of gear. This is going to increase how much damage you do and give you a bit of crit chance as well. After that, it's going to be haste. Haste is an interesting one. It is going to increase how quickly you attack, and it's also going to increase how fast your energy will regenerate, meaning we can actually do more attacks much quicker. After that, you're going to want crit chance, and then it will be mastery. Crit chance, of course, increasing your chance to critically hit. Now, if you are a Pandaren, then you will need to hit 2,550 hit rating. The same with all other races, apart from a few specific ones. Now, that is going to be for things like Draenei, because they have a racial called Heroic Presence, needing 2,210 hit rating. Gnomes, if when dual-wielding with swords, because they're short blade specialization. Dwarves using maces or a single mace. Humans using maces and swords. And orcs using axes will also only need 2,210 hit and expertise rating as well. To be really clear in what I'm saying here, if you do have a sword or mace specialization as a gnome, dwarf, human, or orc, that's your expertise rating you need less of, whereas if you're a Draenei, you need less hit rating. But as any race, you do need to hit the 7.5% cap in both of those stats in order to make sure all of your abilities are guaranteed to hit the boss. So just to recap, hit rating and expertise rating to 7.5, then agility, then haste, then crit, and then mastery. Finally, onto your consumables and gems, etc. On your meta slot for your gem, you're going to want to go for an agile primal diamond. It's then going to be a delicate primordial ruby, etc. on your red slot. And then we get to the really interesting bit. If the socket bonus is not 60 agility or more, so let's say it's 60 mastery or 60 haste, it's actually better off for you to just go for a red agility gem instead. Otherwise, if you have got 60 agility or more as your socket bonus, then you could just go for a deft vermilion onyx. Again, on the blue slot, the same thing. Go for a red one if it's not agility, because the agility outweighs the bonus of what you're going to get. If it is agility, go for a glinting imperial amethyst. For your enchants, on the shoulders, we have some inscription ones. You don't need to be an inscriber unless you want the secret tiger claw ones. On your back, you can get accuracy if needed, or superior critical strike. Glorious stats on the chest, agility, and there's some leatherworking and blacksmithing extras on the wrists, if you have those professions. Expertise if you need it on the hands, otherwise haste. Again, you can add a socket to your gloves if you're a blacksmith, and there's some sign-up springs if you're an engineer. On the waist, everyone can add a living steel belt buckle, but it can get expensive. Shadow leather leg armor on the legs, or the primal version if you're a leather worker. Blurred speed on the feet, or greater haste if you can't afford it. You can put a greater agility on your rings, that's both of them if you're an enchanter. And then we're going to use dancing steel or elemental force on our weapons. Regarding the professions, they all pretty much add the same amount of things. Mostly, as you can see here, 320 agility. If you are a leather worker, it's 330 agility, however, so it's a tiny little bit more. And then tailoring actually can give you about 1,000 attack power in average. So tailoring can be really, really good, but it's completely up to you. And as you can see, most professions offer about the same benefit. For your potion, it's going to be Vermin's Bite, adding 4,000 agility, as seen here. We have Master Healing Potions as well, should you need them. And then it's Flask of Spring Blossoms for your flask here, increasing agility by about 1,000. It's going to be Great Pandaren Banquets, which give you, I think, is it 300? Yes, 300 agility. There's also Sea Mist Rice Noodles and Valley Stir Fries as well, or sautéed carrots for 250 agility, should you want a cheaper option. And there we go, guys. That is everything you need to know to play as a Windwalker monk in Mr. Pandaria Classic. I truly hope it was helpful for you. Again, if you want to get Zygor, you can get 20% off with my code Javier down below, making your leveling experience as a new monk in MoP Classic insanely faster and easier, and all the new pet battles and everything else that it offers, making that easier as well. If you would like to support the channel, you can also do that by joining Patreon in the description, which gives you access to LFUI profiles and some spreadsheets, but also mainly a VIP support in our Discord as well. Check out the playlist on screen to see all of the other specs I've done, and check out my channel for the other playlists on MoP Classic, as I have done a ton of guides.